We'll turn our focus to corporate governance in Nigeria, and to discuss this is Professor Mohammed Mainoma, a professor of accounting and finance and the past president of Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. Good evening, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, viewers. Thank you very much for having me in the studio.
You're welcome. Well, let's start by asking that you give us a sense of what corporate governance is all about.
Yeah, corporate governance is all about the idea of safeguards, that at the end of the day, you have a system that really establishes how business is done in a manner, companies are managed in a manner that it will be sustainable. There are 10 basic principles that I can call what I call safeguards. And the S in safeguards is about solid foundation for management and oversight. And then the second principle is about acceptable and responsible decision-making processes. Then the third principle is about fair and responsible remuneration, the amount of money that you are going to pay to those that are involved in management of the organization. Then there is the issue of trying to enhance performance, making sure that you are able to increase revenue such that the company can continue to grow in terms of profit making. Then there is also the issue of guarding the rights of shareholders, those that are contributing funds in an attempt to make the company exist. Their rights also must be protected. The also basic issue is to understand and manage risk, where our idea is that there might be some level of risk that companies are going to take, and how to understand it and manage it is also a basic principle in corporate governance. Our other matter is accurate, timely, and balanced disclosure. In terms of information management, should be accurate, should be timely, and also should be balanced. And then the issue of recognizing the legitimate interests of shareholders. Different from their rights, they also have some legitimate interests that needs to be protected. Then the issue of deepening integrity in financial reporting. Then lastly is the issue of structure the board in such a way to add value, that in terms of composition of the board, in terms of gender, in terms of other matters associated with the number of people that are going to be on the board of governance of the organization, is also a major issue that is part and parcel of the principle of corporate governance. So in short, what I have said is to say that we are seeing a situation where the whole idea is to safeguard operations for purposes of maintenance. And I've tried to define these safeguards as those 10 basic principles of corporate governance.
Yeah, but looking away from just the concept and the definition, when we look at the operations of companies listed on the stock exchange, how much of these concepts are they really putting into practice?
Yeah, before now, different sectors had different code of governance codes that they are operating, like the banking, the insurance. But now that there is a centralized code of corporate governance as from 2018 that is actually pioneered by the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. And basically the code has 6 major provisions. And I also call it B star. The B is about board management, how you manage the board, who becomes member, what is his qualification, what are the things that it is desired. And that is actually something that is measurable, that's something that is being implemented, that companies must have this size of the board and things like that. Then the issue, the E in B is ethics in business. That is to say that what ethical considerations should be considered by those doing business. And the Code of Corporate Governance has established that in the document that is now gazetted. Then the third issue is the issue of sustainability. How do you continue with the operations of the business without necessarily jeopardizing the future interests of that particular entity? And the issue of transparency in reporting, that whatever you are doing, it must be clear to those that are going to look at it, and also it is something that is measurable. You can see whether things are transparent, transparently done or not. Then the E is the issue of assurance, and that addresses those issues of risk that are associated with the volume and quantity of risk that a company can actually take. That also is captured in the Code of Corporate Governance. Then lastly is the relationship with shareholders, management and shareholders, what will be the essence of. So the Code of Corporate Governance, as established today and approved and is operational, is the 2018 code, which is actually from the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria.
Well, still talking about the listed companies, both SEC and the CBN, in the case of listed banks, had issued corporate governance codes. And I recall that there was a time the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, in which you served as a member, attempted to harmonize and come up with one corporate governance code for companies in Nigeria. Is that project still on, and what level is it at this time?
No, the project has been completed. The code has been gazetted since it is a 2018 code now. Every company that is operating in the capital market should operate with that code of corporate governance.
Well, despite the existence of the Corporate Governance Code, a number of corporate failures, especially in the financial sector, has been attributed to failure of corporate governance. Does it have to do with not having the right board size or composition necessary for good governance?
Yeah, it is a major factor actually in terms of failure. Like you have seen, what we're talking about now is you look at the issue of the composition of the board. If you bring people that don't even understand what they are doing, they cannot actually direct a company. You may find management that is doing what they are doing without any guidance. But if you have a composition of people that also understand the basis, and also the different shades of opinion are represented in the board, then you can then have a board that can stand the test of time. That if the board is not just everything that is getting in terms of remuneration is from that particular company, so that their interest is just their own personal engagements. So, but when you have a broad-based board, yeah, you find out that it has the capacity to operate in a manner that you can get the best from that kind of a company. So also, like I mentioned, the court also make provisions for ethics, that these are the things that you can do, these are the things that within the level of operation that you cannot do. So once those things are actually itemized and they are supposed to be properly followed, then you stand the chance of not allowing those kind of companies to fail again. And once things that you are doing and there are matters that will ensure the sustainability of the company, that what you are doing today must not be such that it cannot generate further returns in the future. That don't just get a profit for today and it cannot survive. It must be a continuous going concern. And that also must be done transparently, that people should agree that that is the best form of practice and that is how to go. And people believe that that is the best practice. So again, there are provisions for how to report transparently. And the issue of risk factor is also a matter that the court has taken care of, that you must, these are the limits of the kind of risk that you can take on the face of the realities of operating environment. And also, of course, the relationship between shareholders is also a matter that is significant. And the court provides how those things are done.
Well, Professor, you talked about how to report transparency. There's a code. Could you maybe highlight it a bit on what is the process of when you talk of transparency, enforcing transparency, and how to report transparency. Tell us more about that.
The idea is that whatever it is, the level of revenue, whatever is the level of indebtedness, let people be aware. Whatever is the commitment for the future, let those stakeholders be aware that whatever it is going to jeopardize the success of, let it be openly presented. That at the end of the day, nobody is going to come and invest in a company that is most likely going down.
All right, well, the Nigerian Stock Exchange has had to cost to delist companies that are notorious for violating post-listing requirements, some of which border on corporate governance. What do you think should be done by capital market regulators to strengthen corporate governance practices by listed firms?
Yeah, what they are doing is actually the right thing to do for the moment. Those companies that are not following the rules should be delisted. So that at the end of the day, you find out that once the regulators are serious and they make it clear that if you do not follow these rules the way that they are established, you cannot operate in the market. That gives some sense of security for the operators in the market, for the shareholders, that our resources are entrusted in the people that obey rules, that follow regulations. And if they cannot, they are not allowed to operate. I think that is the way to go. Any other means of allowing people to operate without following rules and regulations jeopardize the system and put the economy in danger.
So we'd just like to know, how can the minority shareholders be protected? How can their interests be protected when we're talking about the listed companies?
Yeah, the easiest way to protect the interests of the minority is to play by the rules. The moment what is established as the operating practice is followed, then the minority shareholder can go to sleep. Because at the end of the day, the rules are such that whether you have a large number of shares or you have little shares in a company, the operating environment will give you what is due to you. And the minority shareholders will also have their rights to comment on this once things are done transparently. So it is important that the idea of how to make the composition of the board right, and also the reporting pattern should be correct, and then the kind of adjustments that are required to be done in order to ensure that they have their investments are safe. So once that is done, you'll find out that the interest of the minority shareholders is fully protected.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Mohammed Mainoma, for spending this evening with us and for sharing so much information. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much.